Let me take you deeper into a situation that is all too common but also very telling. It's 4 a.m. and your room is very dark. Your alarm is about to sound, shattering the silence. Today is the day that everything changes. Today is the first day of your new morning routine. But the alarm is still going off. A gentle yet persuasive voice begins to implore you to extend the time by 5 minutes. It whispers seductively, "You need more rest. Start tomorrow." What this sounds like, doesn't it? But what if I told you that the seemingly insignificant decision you're making right now actually has significant implications? Is this where your whole future starts to take shape? You can't just turn off the alarm. It's not just about the morning workout or something else. It's about making a stronger commitment to consistency. In Stoicism, every choice shows our way of life by picking to rise. You promise your future self that you will live a purposeful and disciplined life. And yet we often fail, even though research shows that 92% of people by February have broken their New Year's resolutions. This isn't just a statistic. It illustrates the struggle we all face in resisting the temptation to unwind amidst the challenges of growth. The Stoics taught us that nature works in a steady way. The sun rises and sets, and the seasons change. Everywhere, one can sense a divine rhythm in the universe. Why are we made to show such order and resolvency struggle so much? How about consistency? Today, let's look at how having a Stoic attitude can help you. Commitment and courage are values that can fundamentally change our lives. Ensure that our actions align with both our intentions and our most ambitious objectives. Come with me as we learn how to use the power of our choices to make everyday moments extraordinary. The keys to a purposeful and steadfast life. If you value the insights we're going to dive in, please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. This video is about self-discipline and growth. Please share it with others who are going through the same thing. Today's exploration might provoke skeptics and even the most disciplined minds to reflect, so I want you to stay tuned until the end to see how even the smallest choices can have big effects. Can set the stage for international changes. Let's get to the heart of Stoicism and daily consistency. In the dark, the alarm goes off, breaking the peace and quiet of early morning. Even though it's 4 a.m., the world outside is still dark and quiet. For a short time, there is silence in your mind as you note the start of the day. You have the opportunity to take control, but suddenly a recognizable voice begins to communicate with you. You've been working hard, so you deserve a little more rest every minute. That voice is convincing and well-timed enough to negotiate with you. At that moment, you find yourself at a crossroads, and the decision you make now appears minor and nearly effortless. It sets the tone for your day and, in many ways, your life. You will learn to deal with pain and rise above it, being true to the promise you gave yourself, or will you cozzle up in your bed? Are you postponing your objectives for today until a more suitable moment? Stocks for them. This moment is a test of character and a chance to strengthen the mind against Marcus Aurelius, who wrote at dawn about the pull of comfort and inertia. Find it hard to get out of bed? Tell yourself, as a human being, I have to go to work. What do I have to complain about if I'm going to do what I was meant to do? What in the world to do? It's not enough to just wake up and follow a routine. You promise yourself to act in a way that is in line with your highest values. According to Stoic philosophy, consistency is a virtue. The disciplined act of following your principles regardless of the situation or mood is crucial. Every time you choose to rise, even when comfort urges you to stay where you are, you strengthen this bond. In your mind, picture it as a deposit into the account of the person you're becoming. But every time you choose ease over effort, you're betraying yourself a little. You can achieve your long-term goals by taking small, consistent actions. To build character, they looked at how nature follows a rhythm. The sun rises and the seasons change every year in the same way. Also, you can build your own inner stability in the same way. When you choose discipline over delay, you're following this natural order. You are not just getting out of bed, you are practicing being strong. You are becoming the person you want to be, and that moment seems essential to the big plan of life. It's a defining moment in your day and a powerful decision. Will you rise up and become who you're meant to be, or will you listen to the voice of comfort to keep you in place? This fight with the alarm every morning is a chance to train your will.
It's a good idea to test your resolve and live in line with your values in real life. A determination to live a life not running on mood, but gladly based on purpose. Everyone knows how challenging it is to get motivated to start something new. The new energy and strong will to change are what will finally break the old habits and make new ones. It could be the promise of a new year, a new week, or just a new way of thinking. Set the goal, make a plan, and tell yourself that this time things will be different. But after a few weeks or even days, the spark fades, and you find yourself again. Going back to the beginning, this isn't just a personal failure, it's a deeply human one. Furthermore, research indicates that approximately 92% of individuals abandon their goals shortly after they are set. It seems like an invisible force is pulling us back to our old selves. The Stoics knew this very well. They didn't see it as a sign of weakness or a reason to give up on self-control. Instead, they viewed it as the primary struggle between comfort and growth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What stands in the way of action brings action forward. This is how it is." Every time we face resistance, no matter what the lure is, if we give up an extra hour of sleep or the comfort of our usual habits, we miss a chance. To get over it and turn obstacles into steps in this inside battle is not just about energy, it's about how we work with discipline and the will to rise. Carl Jung said it best, above our immediate desires for the sake of something greater. You are what you do, not what you say you'll do. The goals we set for ourselves without actions to back them up, the plans we make, are empty. Setting a goal is a waste of time. Even though it seems like progress, the only way to really see growth is to keep showing up. Even when we don't feel like it, Jung said this problem is psychological. There is a part of us that fights growth and pulls us back to safety. And comfort facing the shadow, like the Stoics facing their inside resistance, needs more than a bulk of energy. It needs daily, steady commitment. To the person we want to be, this common fight against breaking up with someone feels like a battle for independence each time. We give in to comfort, let our urges control us, and let our moods and wants rule us. The Stoics tried to get out of this cycle by making their resolve stronger. Train their minds to stay centered and grounded in values rather than feelings. Epictetus thought that real freedom meant being in charge of one's own actions. When we build consistency, we're not just making habits, we're also living in line with our beliefs. We're working towards achieving that freedom. So, if you've ever felt motivated, do not feel failed when you return to old habits and are disappointed by it. In the past few hundred years, philosophers and thinkers have grappled with this universal human experience. It's not difficult to desire change. The challenge lies in making a daily commitment to achieve it. And it is in this grand struggle that Stoicism offers a way forward. Quick fixes and inspiration won't make us who we want to be. We must consistently dedicate ourselves to it. The Stoics knew a lot about consistency, but they didn't see it as a chore. It's not a duty or an obligation, but a way for a Stoic to live out their deepest values every day. Consistency is more than just a habit. It's a clear alignment of actions and beliefs, even when it's harmful or impossible. According to Marcus Aurelius, every day was a chance to live by his principles. He made a promise that was independent of his current emotions. He often told himself not to waste time arguing about what a decent man should be like. It wasn't about lofty goals. It was about being a good person. The Stoic view of consistency is to show up every day with purpose and honesty. It's all about being strong and in control of yourself. They saw every act of consistency towards inner freedom and a way to set yourself free from mood changes. In this case, this approach tests the common belief that motivation you need to stay consistent with Stoicism. Being consistent doesn't mean waiting. Making discipline so strong that it becomes automatic is the key to motivation. They knew that lasting change doesn't happen in a single moment, but through steady action over and over again. Just as a steady stream of water shapes rocks, our daily choices shape our personalities. Carl Jung's ideas align with this perspective. He said that real change is needed. We possess not just the yearning to transform, but also the bravery to consistently take action, even when our desires and necessities remain unfulfilled. Try to steer us in different directions. Young people often believe that everyone carries a shadow. There is a part of us that doesn't want to grow and a part that wants comfort and familiarity. As for change's discomfort, Stoics understand this too. Instead of fighting it directly,
they came up with a way to transcend it. By consistently acting in ways that are in line with their highest values, they shut down the shadow's influence. Refusing to feed it with inconsistency, which lessens its pull. Think about how Epictetus, a former slave, used consistency to transform his life, but he wasn't in control of it. Over his situation, but he knew he was in full control of what he did. That's what he did. He trained himself to stay steady, to act in ways that were in line with his principles, no matter what happened. His entire philosophy relied heavily on the concept of self-discipline in various aspects. He made his own decisions about how to respond to life moment by moment. He was free in the deepest sense, freedom that didn't depend on what was going on outside. However, the fact that he has always been staunchly skeptical is a virtue in and of itself. A way to grow strength, honesty, and peace within Stoics didn't let every feeling or event change them. Instead, they stayed true to their values. They allowed their values to guide their actions. This was how they got what they wanted. Young people might call the process of becoming whole individualization. Being consistent and true to oneself was Stoic wholeness. They can fully realize their true potential. Obstacles outside of work. Deadlines are often what comes to mind when we talk about barriers. The hardest thing to overcome is not having enough time or resources, but the truth are the ones we make for ourselves. The Stoics knew this to be true. Seneca wrote that inner resistance is one of life's best teachers. It's not that things are hard because we don't dare, it's that we don't dare. These obstacles are challenging to overcome. Our own doubts build many of the walls we face. Awareness of this truth is the first step to getting rid of fears and the need for comfort. These inner obstacles are subtle. They manifest as reasons not to take action. I'll start tomorrow as I'm too tired or not yet ready. When we give in to these thoughts, they get stronger, which makes the walls a little higher. To further complicate matters, Carl Jung viewed this resistance as a natural aspect of the mind. What he called the shadow is our unwillingness to grow. According to Jung ignorers, they prefer familiarity over challenge. Fighting the shadow only makes it stronger. The Stoics took a different view. They practiced being aware of their inner resistance without letting it control what they did. When Marcus Aurelius tried to treat each problem as an opportunity, he ran into his own resistance. To strengthen himself, he penned, "The obstacle to action that moves action forward." By standing in their way, this tough mentality transforms obstacles into teachers. Instead of seeing problems as reasons to give up, the Stoic attitude encourages us to keep going, to lean into them and face the discomfort as part of our growth. Every time we push, when we face these barriers, we get a little stronger and better, ready for the next one. In this way, the walls that used to be obstacles become stepping stones on our path. Comfort is a major barrier that prevents many of us from growing. It's simple to give up. Getting into routines that don't push us because they feel safe and common. Epictetus tells us that no man is free who is not a master of himself. When we pick comfort over challenge, we give up control. That wants to keep the same real freedom. As the Stoics say, we can manage this part of ourselves and break free of the things that keep us small. This mystery isn't about denying our need for comfort. It's about putting it where it belongs. Being Stoic teaches us to accept discomfort as a necessary part of growth, to see it as a sign that we're going too far. Picture each obstacle. The chance to use the Stoic virtues of courage as a test of character, willpower and strength, like how a muscle gets stronger by facing stress. The same holds true for our character when we strive against these inner walls. Wonderful setbacks were not what they saw in challenges. They saw them as important parts. Every part of the human experience gives us a chance to practice virtue, and with every barrier we break, we become closer to our true selves. When you're young, believe that what you fight lasts. It implies that ignoring our barriers doesn't make them go away. Instead, it makes them louder and more persistent. The Stoics knew this and thought that acceptance was the key to getting past inner problems. By being aware of our resistance without letting it control us, we can act in line. When we think about our values, each barrier turns into a chance to get to know ourselves better, to see where we're still taking comfort in growth. We often disguise it as being kind to ourselves and giving ourselves a well-deserved break. Sometimes comfort is just a break or a chance to recharge, but it becomes more. It becomes a habit, a place we return to repeatedly until it quietly takes control. The Stoics were very clear about this. For them, comfort was a dangerous drug. He is lulling us into complacency by telling us that we can always go after our goals tomorrow. We have another chance to do the hard work of becoming the people we really want to be. Marcus Aurelius warned against this pull, and he did so every morning, that he was born to do things for a purpose and not for fun. If you have trouble getting out of bed in the morning, tell yourself, "I have to go to work." He wrote the work he was talking about as a person. It was the work of virtue. Does what is right and necessary, no matter how comfortable or uncomfortable it may feel. They had to choose every day between comfort and discipline, and it wasn't straightforward for them. The essence of life, choosing comfort, was to turn away from your goals. To give up on the promise of growth and honesty, Carl Jung felt this pull of comfort. That part of us that doesn't want to change is called the shadow, according to psychologists, and likes the ease of the known more than the challenge of the unknown. Jung believed that the part of us that seeks comfort often conceals our deeper fears, such as the fear of failure, and we step into the unknown and face parts of ourselves we may not want to. So comfort turns into a defense mechanism, a way to keep ourselves safe from the discomfort of growth. But that keeps us from reaching our full potential and becoming whole. Consider this. Each time we choose comfort over growth, we strengthen this habit of avoidance. We begin to choose the simpler path more frequently, and eventually it becomes the only one we are familiar with. The Stoics knew that to make real progress, we have to fight this urge. Epic teachers advised us to focus on intensive training during the winter months and avoid hastily making decisions. We weren't prepared for epic teachers who refused to succumb to comfort. There is a method to prepare the mind and soul to handle the inescapable issues that arise in life. He saw comfort as a short-term pleasure, a fleeting indulgence, while discipline was what he needed. The problem with comfort was a long-term investment in one's character and strength. It's easy to say that it promises peace, but it actually delivers chaos. I'll start tomorrow. But every delay reduces my likelihood of doing anything, leading to the passage of weeks and months. Years go by without any real progress. Comfort is like a warm cocoon that keeps us safe from the outside world, but also stops us from growing. The Stoics thought that growth comes from changing into the person we want to be. You cannot challenge yourself or push past what feels fast and usual. Seneca said that problems make the mind stronger, just as work does for the body. They taught us that the only way to find true peace is to face our problems and prove to ourselves that we can handle them. We can get past the irony of comfort because it feels beneficial at the time. People who avoid problems for a long time are often unhappy in the long run. Is a life without the joy of completion and the pride that comes from getting through hard times. It was known to the Stoics that the best reward does not come from a simple life. However, in order to live a life of purpose, we must put in significant effort to overcome every moment of discomfort. As time goes on, we become a little stronger and more resilient. Builds a deep inner peace and confidence that can't be shaken by the inevitable problems that come up in life. If you want to live like a Stoic, you have to see comfort as a challenge in and of itself. It's simple to stay in bed and put off our goals, which is a test of how committed we are to our values. The Stoics remind us that choosing the path with the least amount of trouble doesn't always lead to growth. The real enemy isn't how hard the task is, it's the voice that tells us not to try. It's the seductive whisper of comfort that promises peace but brings regret. Giving up this comforting habit allows us to reclaim our lives and return to our values. We become more when we find our purpose and our inside strength. Socrates might say, we become what we wish to be, in line with nature and not changed by the highs and lows of fortune. Getting out of the comfort zone isn't just a matter of discipline, it's a matter of freedom. When we choose growth over ease, we claim our true power and move forward. Of a good life. At first, this may seem strange, as we often associate it with freedom. A lot of the time, we imagine having full flexibility or being able to do whatever we want. The Stoics held a distinct perspective on the true meaning of freedom. Wasn't about getting away from responsibilities or discipline, it was about being in charge of yourself. To the point where outside factors no longer directed what they did. Keeping this in mind, consistently practice daily discipline in both thought and action.
The base of real freedom, it's the ability to do what's right in response to our principles. Famous teachers have said that no matter what happens around us, no man is free who is not master of himself in his eyes. As a way to get that mastery, if we allow our moods to run our lives. When our wants change or other people's opinions affect us, we become slaves to things we can't control. Some people, known as Stoics, believe that when we act in line with our values, we strengthen our inner freedom. It's about making a steady rhythm by lining up our actions with who we really want to be. One we can count on, so no matter what storms come, we know we can stand strong. When we are consistent, our emotions don't control us as much. Think for a moment about what would happen if we only worked, exercised, and pursued our goals. No matter how we felt, our lives were always changing because of our evolving emotions. It was clear to Marcus Aurelius that he didn't want to waste any more time arguing. What a good man should do. For him, freedom meant being able to choose what to do by talking about his principles, not how he feels. As we repeat actions, we build resilience that reduces our vulnerability to highs and lows of everyday life with consistency. We feel stable. This idea of inner freedom was also talked about by Carl Jung in the media. Remember that the chance of a lifetime is to become who you really are. To become that person, we must commit to daily actions that resonate with our highest selves. What it means to be consistent. It's not that you do the same thing every day. Regularity is about creating the structure in our lives that lets us do what we need to become the people we want to be every time we remember that structure. We become more liberated from the fears and urges that hinder us. We become less reactive, more determined, and ultimately more in charge of our own lives. Stoics thought of freedom not as a life without rules, but as a life ruled by rules that you set for yourself. For them, freedom meant not breaking any rules, but adhering to the ones they understood. If we don't establish our own boundaries, the world will do it for us, which is what lets us live the way we want to, instead of the way things happen to us. When we consistently live by our values, we make a life that shows what's essential to us, instead of just reacting to the day's problems or needs in a world that is always pulling us in different directions. Consistency becomes a way to fight back, a way to say, I know what I stand for and who I am. In a real-world sense, consistency also leads to freedom because it gets rid of decision fatigue. We no longer have to decide every time if we build habits around our values. A skilled musician doesn't think about each note, so they don't need to act on them. We can move through life like a child who plays freely and consistently. When our actions are in line with our principles, we should feel at ease. This is what the Stoics tried to achieve. A state where their actions were planned by their character, not their mood or their situation. This kind of freedom that comes with being consistent gives you peace of mind. It's the peace of mind that comes from knowing that no matter what the day brings, when we act consistently, we are ready to face it with strength and resilience. The staunch commitment to consistency protects us from the chaos of the outside world. Not only was discipline important, but so was calming them mentally. This is a real kind of freedom, focused and unshaken. There is liberation from the need for approval, the fear of failure, and the pressure to succeed. Of right-away appreciation, so freedom and consistency may look like their opposites. They are indeed two aspects of the same entity. Consistency is what lets us do what we do. Having a clear sense of purpose in life lets us build our own lives. Fleeting distractions don't affect this freedom, which aligns with our values. Rooted in discipline and self-mastery is one that no outside force can change or take away the freedom that the Stoics chose, a freedom based on who we are and made better by the choices we make every day. What you know must be used to bring your values to life and change what you know. Put what you do first, Marcus Aurelius told himself. Don't waste time arguing about what a decent man should be. Be one with this line, which is at the heart of the Stoic way of life. Don't dwell endlessly. Focus on what you do rather than what others think or could do. Today is the time to stop waiting for the right moment or the ideal circumstances. It's time to start taking steps that align with your goal from your current position. For the Stoics, philosophy wasn't a set of ideas. It was a way of life. Every day brought new chances to show patience and fairness. It wasn't about being perfect. It was about having a plan. Seneca said, "Start at once."
The tough part is to live and count each day as a separate life. It's better to treat every day like a practice than to wait for a big moment of change. Every morning, there's a chance to get closer to the person you want to become. You can ask yourself, how will I live today? What do you do? Will match my values. Carl Jung embarked on a profound journey of self-awareness. Believe that your actions define you, not your words. No matter how beneficial our intentions are, they are just thoughts until they become actions. Planning, getting ready, and visualizing our ideal self can make us forget to do things. The real challenge is showing up, especially when it's not convenient or easy. Jung would say that we strengthen our authentic selves every time we choose action over idle thought. Getting over the shadow's defense that sticks to safety and happiness, consider each small action a character construction block. The Stoics knew that people don't become wicked by birth, they do it through practice. Mind and will training can strengthen us like physical training. We should always adhere to the Stoic principles if we want to be more resilient. Every day we need to be resilient, not just when things are easy, but especially when they are hard. Every time we choose to act in accordance with our values, it reinforces our habits. Mind and spirit are what make us who we are, even when we doubt ourselves. Epic teachers told us that the Stoics would remind us to go back to our principles. We should always remind ourselves of what's important to us before making any decisions. Keeping those values in mind, follow these steps to introduce mindfulness to our everyday lives, to use our values to help us make decisions. It doesn't need big gestures, it just needs small actions done regularly. Imagine what your life would be like if you were honest and aware. If you did one small thing daily that reflected your values, whether it's choosing patience over anger or discipline over putting things off, over time, the daily decisions we make add up. They form our character and finally, the path we take in life. This is the path of a Stoic, and it doesn't start in times of ease or comfort. But when things get hard, it's about taking responsibility and making a choice. Instead of letting events or urges shape your life, you will take control of it. In order to remember that silence is powerful, don't make big gestures. If you follow your principles daily, you'll be stress-free. The real strength comes from choosing discipline over comfort, over and over again, and purpose over convenience. In every choice and moment is a chance to change into the person you want to be. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching Stoic Guru. If you want to go deeper into the Stoic path, sign up for Stoic Journal. Watch one of the videos on your screen right now and replay it until the next time. Be strong and stay true to your values.